One of my favorite things, Brandon runs a lot of the sessions for us, and I hear him in the back studio often, and it'll be at the end of a take, and then you'll hear Brandon go, "Fuck yeah, yeah, boom, baby, that was the one. Oh yeah, nailed it, boom." So just a reminder, if your audition process and if your auditions, right now your auditions are stressful and full of anxiety, and they're not fun, and you're not having a good time doing it, you're doing it wrong. This is supposed to be play. One of my ultimate mentors is Tom Todoroff. He always says, it's called a play. It's not called a serious. It's called a play. So if you figured out how to make acting, which when you think about it is the most childlike thing you can ever do. Think back when you were in a sandbox on the playground playing make-believe with your friends. That was the most joyful, fun, where you let go of yourself. You weren't self-conscious. You were just imagining and playing make-believe. That's what it's supposed to be like as an adult too. And that's one of the brilliant things about being in this industry is you get to play make 'em up, and you get to play imagination, and you get to play make-believe, and it's supposed to be fun. So if you're not making it fun, you're doing it wrong, but you're in the right spot. Our whole objective here is to make it fun.
Laughing Vikings Live. High vibe chats with actors, comedians, and creators, plus stand-up comedy, sketch comedy, and most importantly, you. That's right, join us every Monday for new episodes, and you can be a part of the show on Facebook Live, YouTube Live, and Twitch. Ask questions and interact in the comments, and make sure to share this with your actor, comedian, and creator friends so they can be a part of the show too. Can't make a live show? No problem. You can catch up on your favorite podcast platform and visit laughingvikings.com to find out how you can join the cast and crew. All right, it's time for today's show. Buckle up and make sure you stick around to the end because we have a special surprise for you. All right, ladies and gentlemen, it is Laughing Vikings Live. Happy Monday Fun Day. Let's go.
Yes, you did it. Welcome to day 2 of Audition Hero. Thank you for all of you who joined us for day 1. And if you didn't join us for day 1, you got some homework to do. You got to go back to the directory page and watch day 1. But if you're here now, you can stick around for day 2. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm Lars. We are live on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. We're going to make sure that we give people some time to arrive and get settled in. Welcome to a big day today. And let's make sure tech is working here. Make sure to fire in the comments. Let us know, A, what city you're in, and B, what is your dream role. Also, let us know if you can hear me, see me okay. We'll make sure the tech. I want to shout out our producer behind the scenes. He was not with us on day 1 because he was on set in a lead role on a feature film, but he is back on duty here today. You may not see him, but you might see him in the chat. Brandon Knox, a.k.a. the BK Broiler, a.k.a. Fort Knox. He'll be manning the comments, and he's working the switchboard here behind the scenes. So welcome back, Brandon. Let us know in the comments what city you're from. Also, for those of you who are just watching, if you're new, make sure to give StreamYard permission if you're watching on Facebook or YouTube. And if you give them permission, then we'll see your name when you do comment. Much like this person here, I believe that is Adam Daniel Mazet, aka Facebook user. It'll just show up as Facebook user or YouTube user if you don't give StreamYard permission. Somewhere in the live feed where you're seeing it on social media, you'll see a button that says give StreamYard permission, and that'll make sure we see your lovely face and your name. But Adam Daniel Mazet says, I'm located at the center of the known universe. Classic actor ego right there. And I can hear you loud and clear. Larsie, did you eat your breakfast today? And did you make sure to masticate? Yeah, of course. I masticate every day. I had some coffee, and I had a delicious Harvest breakfast sandwich from Tim Hortons, who's not a sponsor. But Mr. Horton, if you're watching, you want to be a sponsor, you can. Michael Ferrer, IFBB Pro / actor says, hey, from the 6. What up, Michael? Fun fact about Michael, he was here about half an hour ago recording an audition for an upcoming commercial project that he is hoping to be cast in. And I'm sure he and the BK Broiler delivered the goods with a professional audition with very strong choices. Brandon Knox, there he is. He says, I'm in Laughing Viking studio. It's the call. The comment is coming from inside the room. It's coming from inside the studio. He's actually right over this way. He's in the back room. Hey, Brandon. Hey, Brandon. You can't hear him. All right. Few things, housekeeping things. Again, make sure to give StreamYard permission so that we can see your comments. This is going to be very interactive. We're going to be asking questions. You're going to be commenting. So make sure that we know your name, or if you can't figure out how to give StreamYard permission, when you do comment, you can put your name in brackets and let us know. My favorite, Joao Pino. There he is. Yes, I always light up when Joao's on the call because I fucking love him. He says, hey, Lars, Brandon, Laughing Vikings, good afternoon to Toronto, Canada. And Joao is in Evora, Portugal, not too far from Lisbon. And I happen to know Joao from Todoroff Conservatory. We were conservatory mates together from September till May. And I miss you, Joao. So it's good to see you. Good to see you on the call. So make sure to give StreamYard permission. A couple other things, I wrote them down here, is grab a notepad and a pen handy so that you can take some notes. Or if you want to do it new school style, you can be clackety-clacking on your laptop while you're watching. In the chat, too, again, interact, ask questions. What I'd like everyone to do is if you have a favorite emoji or a favorite word, maybe it's booyah, maybe it's boom, maybe it's the mind-blowing emoji, maybe it's fireworks, or maybe it's the film clapper. If there's something that we say or something that we touch on throughout the workshop today that is an epiphany moment or an aha moment, maybe you can say epiphany, or maybe you can say aha, or maybe you can say I needed that. But we want to know what's resonating with you today and what's sticking and what the key points are. So be sure to share that in the comments throughout. If I say something that resonates, boom, drop that boom in the chat, or aha. Joao says, miss you always, Lars. Here to learn a lot with you and work hard. Great to be here. Best year of my life in the conservatory with you all. I agree. I miss it. On the one hand, I'm happy to have some of my time back. And on the other hand, I miss all of my classmates and all of my teachers. That was a transformative year. The other thing I want to just say to everyone here is to set an intention right now, to be focused, to be present, so that you can get the most out of this workshop. There's a million distractions in the world these days. You might have other tabs and notifications. So give yourself the gift of focus and intention by closing out other tabs, shut down your other notifications. And what I want you to put in the chat right now is, what is your intention today? Is it something specific you want to learn? Is it something more that you want to become? Is there an answer to a specific question that you hope to gain by the end of this? But set an intention. And that's important to do everything, to set an intention every time you're entering a new situation. You enter a room, why you walk into that room. If you're on stage in a play, or if you're on set in a movie, why are you walking out onto stage? Why are you entering the scene? What's your purpose? What's your intention? What's your objective in the scene? Too often, I think we just kind of bounce around and we move around wherever the wind blows us. But you need to have intentions in life, and you need to have goals in life. And you'll find that when you start setting intentions, all of a sudden your time is better spent, and the outcome that you have from meetings or anything that you're going into is going to be stronger because you actually walked into it with purpose. Have a purposeful life. So again, thank you everyone for joining us today. And last thing is, share this out. Be the person that shares positivity and shares good news and shares learning and growth with other people. So whatever platform you're watching this on right now, do us a favor, hit that share button, as they say in the business. Smash that share button, smash it good, but don't break your phone and don't break your laptop, because we can't pay for it. We could, but we won't. If you smash too hard, that's your own fault. So share it out with your friends, especially your acting network. And if you're watching this on Facebook, YouTube, or Twitch, and you haven't officially registered, you're going to see that ticker flying along the bottom there. It says, make sure to register. Go to laughingvikings.com/audition hero. And why do you want to formally register? Many reasons. One is you're going to get access to the replays. So if you miss any of these workshop training days, you'll have full access. And even if you are here live, a lot of the times you want to go back and watch them to get a little refresher. Maybe you missed something in the moment. Also, when you're registered, that's going to give you your opportunity to access the private Facebook community. It's going to give you a chance to access more prizes and giveaways. So go to laughingvikings.com/audition hero. If you've just stumbled upon us here on Facebook, YouTube, or Twitch, that's great. You're welcome to stay with us, but make sure at some point you officially register. And then also that will allow us to stay in touch with you as we release new updates, new bonuses, new resources, and share new workshops with you. We'll be able to keep in touch that way. So be sure to officially register. All right. Let me know in the comments. Are all these Audition Heroes? It is 2:10 p.m. Eastern time. I know we have people all over Canada, all over the States, Portugal, Mexico, United Kingdom. Last time we had someone in Lebanon with us. So this is a global event. I know I'm not in there in the room with you, but it feels like it. I see you in there. I'm going to give you a big old international virtual hug here. Let me know in the comments, are you ready? Say Audition Hero ready, and we shall begin. You guys ready for this? You ready for this? Can't start until you're ready. You ready? Are you ready? And remember, you're never really ready, but tell me you're ready, and that's enough. You guys ready? You ready? You're ready? And they are ready. Someone says F word, yeah. He says frig yeah, fudge yeah, or maybe he said fuck yeah. Did you say fuck yeah? Did you mean fuck yeah? Brandon says ready. Joao says ready. Brandon says ready. Facebook user says German. Ich bin fertig. I assume that's German. Hopefully it means ready. All right. So first of all, let me just reinstate the promise of this whole workshop. Maybe you are joining day 2 for the first time and you haven't seen day 1. Make sure to go back and see day 1. We're going to give you a little recap today. But what is Audition Hero? It is our signature workshop. We only do this a few times a year, where we will help you discover the winning strategies and tactics that today's working actors are using to up-level and improve their professional auditions and record professional auditions, ultimately so that you can book more roles in television, film, commercials, and theater. So you're in the right place. And I want to remind you who I am, because you should be thinking right now, who the heck is this guy, if you don't know me? And I know many of you I've known for a long time. I know and love you. So if that's the case, you know who I am and you know what we're all about here at Actors Audition Club and Audition Hero. But if you don't know who I am, you should be thinking to yourself, hopefully a little bit of thought of, who the heck is this guy and why should I be listening to him? That's a great question. My name's Joe Lars Larson, and I've been working in the television film industry as an actor and also as a stand-up comedian since 2009. Some of the highlights in my career, I was an ensemble cast member in 20 episodes of an amazing show called Almost Genius that aired on country music television. It was a sketch comedy show, real wacky. The whole cast was stand-up sketch and improv comedians. We did one season, and that was one of the first times in my career where it was like, oh, this is a real job, and I'm showing up to the same place. It was 3 months in a green screen studio. We were there Monday to Friday. We were paid $1,200 an episode, and we shot 2 episodes a week. So it was also the first time in my acting career where I was getting a regular paycheck. As you know, sometimes you're a day here and you're a day there. You're a day on a commercial. You're a couple days on a series, a couple days on a movie. But for me, with Almost Genius, that was the first time where it was a set thing. So it was 3 months in a green screen studio. It was so fun, just surrounded by other comedians. It was all wacky sketch comedy type stuff. Another big highlight for me, I was a series series regular or recurring series on the kids show Oh Yuck, which you can check out on Netflix. I played Lou, the maintenance man, Handy. You can call me the main man. See what I did there? The main man, because I'm the maintenance man. And it was one of my favorite shows ever to work on. That was an Australian, Canadian, and Los Angeles co-production. We actually shot 26 episodes. They ended up breaking them up into 2 seasons. It aired on Channel 7 in Australia, and now that's on Netflix. So you can check me out in 5 of those episodes. It was so fun. I was playing this kind of wacky / lazy janitor character. And I remember being backstage offset talking to Kane Tremills, the lead, who's a fantastic Australian actor. And I said to him, man, if I never got to do anything else in my life, but I got to do this forever, sign me up. It was so fun. There was robots and puppets and animation, and it was just this wacky kids show. I mentioned in day 1 that my first day on set was a food fight birthday party scene. So I literally showed up. They put me on wardrobe. They took us out there, and now it's like a big buffet spread of cakes and cookies and bonbons that then we proceeded to whip at each other. So talk about a day of work. They say if you do what you love, you'll never work a day in your life. And my first day of work, I was being paid pretty well to whip cake at people. It was brilliant. I also got to be a lead in a series called it's a true crime docudrama called Fear Thy Neighbor. And I was in an episode, I believe the episode was called Screaming Oaks, where I was playing a Florida man involved in a horrific neighborhood dispute that involved a couple murders and a bunch of shootings. Not so fun stuff, but as an actor, it was a really rewarding experience. And that was the first time that I was ever number 1 on the call sheet, which means you're essentially in every scene. So I was there from essentially dawn till dusk every day. And I actually remember the last day we shot, it was an overnight shoot, and the sun was coming up, but it needed to be nighttime. So the director and the assistant director are running around, let's go, people, let's go. Where usually the problem is you're losing light if the daytime is fading into night, and it causes a continuity problem where you started a scene and it was daytime and all of a sudden it's nighttime. We had the reverse. The sun was coming up, so he's running around frantically, let's go, people, the sun's coming up. And it was like 6 o'clock in the morning, and we got to finish this horrific murder reenactment where I'm shooting my neighbors. So you can check that out, but that was a really fun one. And one of the most prolific days of my career was, it was February 14th, Valentine's Day, 2020. It was a beautiful, clear blue, sunny day, but it was 20 below here in Toronto. It was fucking cold. And I found myself toe-to-toe and eye-to-eye with Jason fucking Momoa, Aquaman himself, on his epic series C. I booked a day on that series. I was playing a border guard in that series, and I got to spend half a day toe-to-toe and eye-to-eye with Jason. He was amazing. He was incredible. He's exactly who you'd expect him to be. They say never meet your heroes, but I met one of mine, and he was just a behemoth beast, A-lister, and you could tell the star power. He rolled up in a nice fancy town car Escalade when it was his time to go, walked out like he owned the set, which he's also a producer, so technically he kind of does. And that was an amazing experience to get to see how he works as a professional. Being a producer, he was really involved with the director and the cameraman. So we would shoot our scene, then he would go away to Video Village, talk to the director, then he would come back and give me notes and give us tips. So that was a huge day. And I remember looking at him that day and thinking, man, I know that I'm only here on this day, but I was like, one day I'm going to be in your shoes, except they're going to be my shoes, but where I'm the leading player in this epic series. And it was probably 400 background, maybe three to 400 crew, 400 to 500 background. They created this whole new city. So it was this blockbuster show. I think they were spending about $10 million an episode. You can watch C on, I believe it's Apple Plus. And there's been a million things in between that. We have Brandon, somebody was saying I'm blurry. I'm not blurry now, am I? We good? You guys see me? See me? Looks completely fine to me on my end. So let me know if you guys are seeing anything blurry. I seem to be in focus. Anyone else in the comments? Do I seem blurry? We're good? We're good. My camera seems fine. So it might be an internet connection on someone's end if you can't quite see me. What I was going to say, though, is in between all those TV shows, I've done dozens of commercials. I've done commercials for Little Caesars, Neutrogena, Hartford Insurance, Ford, Pepsi, all kinds. Getting another note here that my camera is blurry. It is not blurry to me. Let me see if I shut it off and turn it back on. How's that? You guys see that okay? My camera view is completely fine. So I don't know if that's just an internet connection thing. You can hear me okay. If you can't see me, you can just imagine my non-blurry, handsome face. As long as you can hear me and get the message, I'm okay with moving on. It's better? Okay, good. Thank you for your feedback. Yes, as I was saying, had tons of experience, TV and film, commercials, done a ton of theater shows, and also for the last 13 years, I've been a stand-up comedian as well. So I've been on stage hundreds, if not thousands of times as a stand-up comedian. But more importantly than my own personal acting career, the big reason that we're doing this audition workshop series is we have a company, it's part of Laughing Vikings, called Actors Audition Club, where we help professional actors record professional TV and film auditions without tech troubles, without stress and anxiety, without having to bug their family and friends, so that they can focus on the craft of acting, focus on their performance, and ultimately book more roles in television and film. And Actors Audition Club has existed here since 2017. So for the last 5 years, we've helped hundreds of actors with thousands of auditions for television, film, commercials, theater. We've helped actors book, record auditions for agents, for showcases to get into theater companies and to even get their agents for the first time. So throughout the course of that, we've got intimate backstage, behind the scenes experience in what professional casting is looking for, what productions are casting, what they're looking for during the casting process, how to shoot auditions, everything that you need to know to book a professional role. So we've been doing that, not just myself. We've got several other session directors, Brandon being one of them, Amy Emanuel, Lucy Sanzi. And we do those in person in our studios. But since COVID, we've been doing those internationally. So we connect with people in Portugal and Mexico and UK. So it doesn't matter where you're watching from. We've helped actors in your area where we connect with them via Zoom virtually and help you record your professional audition and help you submit it to book more roles in television and film. So that's why we're doing this. So what I just want to reiterate here is whether you're a seasoned vet and you've had a 20, 30-year career and you're looking to up-level and improve your auditions at this point in your career to take advantage and to really seize those opportunities, or maybe you're brand new to the industry. You're a brand new actor. You're looking to break into the industry and you're looking to learn the strategies and tactics. Either way, what you're going to learn today is the winning strategies and tactics that today's working actors are using to book more roles in television and film. So you are in the right spot. Everyone can hear me, see me okay? We're all good there? I want to go into the chat real quick. Adam Daniel Mizet says, Larsy, please make sure to give us a shout out to the Blue Jays' fortunes this season. Tell the audience how much of a fan you are. Yeah, I'm a pretty good fan. Here in the studio, we actually have the newspaper from 1992, the day after Joe Carter. Oh, no, it was 93. The day after Joe Carter hit the winning walk-off home run in the 93 series when they had the back-to-back wins. Yeah, go Blue Jays. Go sports team. Someone says, Jason fucking Momoa. Yeah, he's a beast. He was the best. He was such a pro, larger than life. He's an action hero in real life, too. It was so fun working with him. Someone says, hit that like button if you're loving Audition Hero. Okay, so before we get started with today's content, and I know you guys are chomping at the bit, we want to recap day one. So if you didn't watch day one, at some point, go back and watch it. We're going to talk tactics and strategies today, but you can learn all the best strategies and all the best how-to and all the best tactics. Like someone can literally give you the secret magic key. But if your mindset isn't right and your identity isn't right, as far as the stories you're telling yourself and how you're feeling about yourself, you're never going to incorporate all those tactics and tools and strategies and resources. So in day one, we talked about the importance of adopting an audition hero mindset. We talked a lot about the hero journey from being a regular old average Joe. And then if you think back to all your favorite movies, they follow that hero's journey where opportunity comes knocking, and at first you resist that opportunity and say, no, I'm just an average guy. Maybe you're thinking Frodo or Katniss Everdeen or Luke Skywalker. They're just this regular person. And then this huge opportunity comes and they have to become the hero. They have to step up and learn new. We just got a spammer. I think we just got a porn bot spam us in the chat. Said, Naked HD XYZ, help us find your perfect match. Block. In day one, so we talked about the hero's mindset, the hero's journey. At some point, go back and watch day one. If you're with us now live, stay with us live, but be sure to go back and learn from day one. And the other thing we talked about is how professionals in every industry, they follow systems and process and checklists. Any professional in any industry does not just wing it. So if you're the type of artsy-fartsy person and you're like, I just like to blow in the wind and see what happens, and I go with my instinct and my intuition, that's all great. You need your instinct and you need your intuition and your gut feelings as an artist, but you do need to follow professional systems. How would you feel if you went to your doctor and you were going in for surgery, even if it was day surgery, and you're going in and it's just your appendix is going to be removed. And the doctor's like, never mind, nurse, I'm just going to wing it. And the nurse is like, well, did you wash your hands? Did you check the equipment? Did you double check that you have the right medications or the right painkillers and the right dosage? And this guy's like, I'm just going to wing it. I've been a surgeon for 20 years. Don't worry about me. Or if you got on a plane to go somewhere and you overheard through the cockpit, the co-pilot's like, okay, check flaps, check fuel gauge, check altimeter. And the pilot's like, man, buddy, relax. I'm a pro. I've been doing this forever. I don't need to follow checklists. Or maybe an engineer who's building a skyscraper. You look at these incredible skyscrapers, they got to build them from scratch and they got to go up 100 stories. If they didn't follow a blueprint and a checklist and a process and a system, there's no way that building would ever stay standing. It's going to look like a Jenga tower, and then it's probably going to collapse the first time the wind blows. So the importance of following systems, following checklists, being a professional, combined with having that hero mindset and stepping into your hero mindset in your own life. Obviously, we all want to be heroes on television and film, and you want to be the hero and the lead in these amazing television shows and movies, but you also need to be the hero in your own life. So it's about stepping out of that. Like some people at certain points in their life were playing background roles or were bit players in our own lives, but you need to take control of your own life. You need to step into your own hero mindset. So that was day one. And then in day two, our promise today, again, if you guys are ready, type it in the chat. The day two promise, if you want to call that banner up, Brandon, should be the next one there. Today's day two promise. We are going to bust. This is me busting, smashing. We are going to smash the top 5 actor myths. Then we're going to help you find more auditions. And then we're going to help you create your own audition checklist. Plus, along the way, we're going to destroy any obstacles that are in your way so that ultimately you can step into your dream role in your own life and also in television, film, theater, commercials in 2022. Adam Daniel Mose says, we could be heroes for just one day. Shout out David Bowie. I believe that's David Bowie, although lots of people have remade it. All right. So today's today's training, first I want to just talk about auditions. You might be, about objections or obstacles that you might having. You might be thinking, oh, I'm brand new. So I don't know what I'm doing. Well, that's great. You're in the right spot. You're starting with learning. You might be thinking, oh, I don't have an agent yet, so I can't be successful without an agent. I'm not going to have opportunities, or I'm not going to have access to opportunities. Also not true. There's thousands of actors in the world that are unrepresented. We know a ton of them. I'll shout out Taz Garcia as one of them. I'll shout out Reese Presley, who they work like crazy. They create their own opportunities. They find their own opportunities and they actually don't work with an agent. And we can also help you figure out how to get an agent as well. You might be thinking, I'm in a small market. I'm not in New York. I'm not in LA. I'm not in Toronto. I'm not in Chicago. I'm not in Atlanta. I'm not in London. Well, good news is we all have the internet and we live in a global village and a global community. And more than ever, productions are casting worldwide. They're casting a wide net. And because of self-tapes, doesn't matter where you live, you can live in the smallest town ever, and you're going to have the chance to submit for big blockbuster submissions. Now, you might eventually need to get yourself to one of those cities where they're shooting it, but to have access to those productions through the internet and through webcams and Zoom and self-tape audition processes, there's no reason that you can't be successful in today's market. And let me tell you, there is no better time to be an actor than today. There's more production shooting, there's more opportunities, there's more money. You just got to learn the craft and you got to learn to be a professional. And that's why you're here today. So let's move on to today's content. You guys ready? Let me hear you in the comments. You guys ready? You guys ready? There you go. You ready? You guys ready? They're ready. They are ready. Okay. First thing Brandon says, oh yeah. Oh yeah. Side note, one of my favorite things, Brandon runs a lot of the sessions for us, and I hear him in the back studio often, and it'll be at the end of a take. And then you'll hear Brandon go, fuck yeah. Yeah. Boom, baby. That was the one. Oh yeah. Nailed it. Boom. So just a reminder, if your audition process and if your auditions right now, your auditions are stressful and full of anxiety and they're not fun and you're not having a good time doing it, you're doing it wrong. This is supposed to be play. Our acting coach and one of my ultimate mentors is Tom Todoroff. And he always says, it's called a play. It's not called a serious. It's called a play. So if you figured out how to make acting, which when you think about it is the most childlike thing you can ever do. Think back when you were in a sandbox on the playground playing make-believe with your friends. That was the most joyful, fun, where you let go of yourself. You weren't self-conscious. You were just imagining and playing make-believe. That's what it's supposed to be like as an adult too. And that's one of the brilliant things about being in this industry is you get to play make-em-up and you get to play imagination. You get to play make-believe, and it's supposed to be fun. So if you're not making it fun, you're doing it wrong, but you're in the right spot because our whole motivation and objective here is to make it fun. So that's what we're going to do for you today. All right. Brandon says, boom. I won't share that one. That's got obscenities in it. Although I've been dropping F-bombs all day long. But yeah, let's keep it clean in the chat, everybody. Cleanish. All right. So today we're going to get into first busting 5 actor myths. So take some notes. If there's any aha moments, drop the aha or your booms or your epiphanies or I needed to know that. Thank you in the comments throughout. Brandon, you want to bring up myth number 1? Myth number 1 is that my career as an actor is a solo journey, or what we like to call the lone wolf syndrome. That is a myth. It's easy to believe because you're working as a solo artist. You're getting hired as an individual, but nothing in life happens as an individual. Nothing good or big happens as an individual. If you think even of individual athletes in the Olympics, they are entering the Olympics as an individual. They are winning the gold medal, but they had a coach, they had a trainer, they probably had a sports psychologist, they had a physiotherapist, they had a chiropractor, they had a personal assistant to book their travel, they had a nutritionist. They had all kinds of people on their team. And so a big part of being an actor is to find your team, find your community, find people that you can rehearse with, find people that you can play with, find people that you can record your auditions with, and resist the urge to remain a lone wolf. I did this for a long, long time, both as a stand-up comedian, as an actor, and it makes things very lonely. It can make things depressing. And also in life, when you're fighting for things just for yourself, your motivation sometimes can only go so far. But when you're fighting for things for a team or on a team, often we'll do more for other people or do more for the team than we would do for yourself. So it's easy if you're only doing things just selfishly for yourself. Maybe you don't get up in the morning because you're like, this sucks, I'm just going to sleep in today. But when you know other people are relying on you, or when you know someone else is showing up, like think about a fitness trainer. Maybe you don't want to go to the gym today, but if you know your trainer or your gym buddy is waiting for you and they're going to be there, you don't want to let them down. So resist the urge to remain a lone wolf. Find your tribe, find your community. And again, we're here internationally. So if we're able to find our community and build a community internationally, that's one of my favorite things about Audition Hero and Actors Audition Club, is that we have this community of brilliant actors and brilliant artists. And the hive mind is smarter than the solo mind. 1 + 1 does not equal 2. 1 + 1 = 3, and 1 + 1 + 1 = 6. And everything in life is better when you do it with more people. That's just the nature of things. So that is myth number 1, busted. Did I bust it? Does anyone still believe you're better off doing this alone? You just go into a cabin in the woods. And you think about when you actually book things, you're in an ensemble cast. Maybe you do solo and one-man shows. But even if you're doing a one-man show, you got a stage manager, you got a director, you got a lighting guy, you got a costuming person, and you have an audience as well. And the audience is part of this too. So as an actor, you're a storyteller, and your job is to tell a story to the audience. So if you're thinking, I'm in this solely for myself, and you're not honoring the audience, then you're also not really doing your job. Myth number 2, you want to bring it up? Myth number 2 is that your training as an actor has a completion date. It never ends. Like anything, it never ends. You're born into this world knowing nothing. At some point, you're going to die. And hopefully the entire time that you're here, you're growing and continuing to learn and continuing to grow. Myself, I mentioned I went through that 8-month super intensive conservatory program with Tom Todoroff's conservatory based out of New York. But I know that that is just the launching off point for me. That was the most intense training that I've ever been involved in. We did scene study, monologue study, cold reads, audition study, film history, theater history, movement, Shakespeare, improv, voiceovers, commercial auditions. What else? We did clown. Like you name a class or a discipline in the acting world, we did it for 8 months. And it was a brilliant experience, but I know that I got to continue to learn and continue to grow. So if you're someone on this call who went to theater school or went to TV and film school back in the day, and then just decided, hey, I learned everything I need to learn, well, you got to continue to learn. The industry is ever evolving and ever growing, so you got to learn with it. And the second you stop growing is the second that you stop kind of living. One of the definitions of life is growing and reproducing itself. So if you're stale and if you were the person that you were 20 years ago when you graduated university, I feel bad for you because you need to continue to grow. And if you're feeling that, don't feel bad. Just realize, okay, I got to grow. Lars is calling me out of my bullshit. I've been staying the same and being stagnant for the last 20 years. Now it's time to up level. And in TV and film industry, think about changes in technology. If you're an actor who went to acting or television theater school, television film school, but you now haven't learned Zoom and you haven't learned maybe some basic editing, or you haven't learned the technical side of social media, for example, you're in a whole new world that has evolved. So you got to continue and you got to up level and become actor 2.0 in your life. So always be growing, always be learning, always be changing. What does that mean? That means reading books. That means attending workshops. So congratulations, you're here today. So chances are, if you're here today, you are not one of those people. who is stagnant. You are a person with a growth mindset. And we talked about that a lot in day one, the difference between a hero mindset and a difference between a growth mindset. So congratulations, you're in the right place. Never stop learning, never stop growing, because you're never just staying still. You're either moving forward and you're learning. A lot of people think, oh, if I'm not learning and growing, I'm just staying where I am. No, you're actually moving backwards, because your things you learn in the past, they have a shelf life and a half-life. Like you think about someone who goes to med school 20 years ago. Well, if they didn't upgrade, they're a doctor with the knowledge of medicine 20 years ago, and things have changed. So you need to continue to learn, continue to upgrade things. Myth number 2, busted. Keep learning. Did I just go blurry? There I am. I'm back. Myth number 3, you want to call that up? Myth number 3 is that my career as an actor is all about who I know. A lot of people say, oh, it's all who I know. I don't know directors and actors and producers. You just got to get in with the right group. I got to have the right look, and then I got to meet the right people. And as our mentor, Tom Todoroff, always says, is that every industry is first what you know and then who you know. And if you're pushing back on that, any profession that's the case. So let's say you want to be a plumber and you have an uncle who's a plumber. You're not just going to be able to say to your uncle, hey, Uncle Joe, give me a job as a plumber. And he's not going to say, oh, you're my nephew. Okay, I'll give you a job. At least not on your own at first. He's going to have to take you on as an apprentice. He's going to have to teach you all the professional things, all the lingo, all the equipment, all the best practices, how to do things. So first, it's what you know, then who you know. And here's the example I'll give you is even if you knew, let's say you have this rich uncle, lives in Hollywood, he's a Hollywood producer, and you're like, you want to call your rich uncle and you're like, give me a job on this set. Well, if you show up to set and you're an untrained actor, you don't understand how the craft of acting works, you don't understand how sets work, all the lights, the cameras, all the equipment, all the people staring at you, quickly you're going to fold under the pressure of that. People are going to realize you're not a professional and you're likely going to be fired. So even if you do have those connections, without the craft, without knowledge, without professional training, and without professional systems and processes in your career, you're quickly, even if you have the benefit of nepotism, you're quickly going to be discovered as an imposter, and you're going to be fired, and they're not going to have you back. So even if you have those connections, without craft and without training, you're going to burn those bridges really quickly. So it's first what you know, meaning if you're on this call and you want to break into the industry and you want to learn about auditions, but you haven't taken any acting classes, I would strongly encourage you to research in your area, and we can help you with that too, is to take acting classes, learn the craft, learn the industry, take workshops like these, so that then when you do meet people that you know and you do have the benefit of nepotism, of course, this is it is an industry, where that is a thing. So it's kind of a trick myth. There isn't value to knowing people and to getting directors and other actors and producers and casting directors to know you and know your work. I'm not going to say that isn't valuable. It's hugely valuable. But first, it's what you know, then it's who you know. Adam Daniel Mazet wants to say here, corollary to myth number 3, best believe if you act like a knob and gutter snipe, you will alienate people in the network and you will thereby gain instant pariah statuses. You shall be pilloried. That's a word I'm not sure I've ever heard before. I'll take your word on it being a real word. Throughout the industry for your, there's another word, intransigence. I think Adam Daniel Mazet is just making up words here. Recalcitrance and overall sphincter muscle-like behavior. Yeah, what he's saying is, if you can be the best professionally trained actor in the world, but then if you burn your bridges as well and you act like an asshole, then people aren't going to have you back. So, you want to learn the craft first, what you know, then who you know, and then you can develop and foster those relationships. And you do want to nurture relationships. So let me just be clear that I'm not saying don't nurture relationships. One of the best things about any business is people like to work with their friends. People work with people that they know, that they like, and that they trust. And you can think of a lot of actors who made a break with one particular director, and then they continue to work with that director. So every time that director is working on a film, they're thinking, oh, who's my guy? I want to have him. And there's a lot of that in the industry as well. All right, we can take Adam's comment down. Myth number 3, busted. Myth number 4, I'm a great actor, but I don't perform well in an audition setting. That is a myth. If you're convincing yourself and that's a story that you're continuing to tell yourself, you need to smash through that because it's not serving you. Even if it is true, you might be thinking that like, oh, I am a great actor. I have performed really well. But right now, really, auditions, until you're an A-lister or until you are someone who's getting offers directly without having to audition, the way you get jobs in this industry is by auditioning. So you can't say that you're a great actor, you're just a shitty auditioner, because in order to work as a great actor in the business, you need to be a great auditioner. So you need to get over that, which again, that's why you're here today. So you need to see auditions as performance opportunities. You need to take joy in those auditions. You need to learn how to have fun in those auditions, learn how to see every audition as a playful act of creation and an opportunity to perform and an opportunity to create, rather than seeing them as totally two separate things. And they're different phases of the same thing, but you got to master your audition technique so that you can get on those sets and then show everyone what a great actor you are. But you got to show what a great actor you are in the audition. Otherwise, they're not going to trust that you can get the job done when it's costing everyone $50,000 an hour on $1 million set. So banish that thought from yourself. If right now you're thinking, oh, I'm a shitty actor, I'm a shitty auditioner, but I'm a great actor, you need to reverse that thinking. It's cart before the horse syndrome. And that happens a lot. A lot of people feel like, oh, my performance of a lifetime is in me. I know I can deliver the goods, but I'm just not given the opportunities because I always shit the bed in auditions. I have too much audition nerves. I have anxiety. I have stage fright, whatever you might think. And you need to smash through that, which is why you're here today, because we're specifically working on auditions and audition process so that you can step into your audition hero mindset. We've got examples to your power performance batteries: Cronenberg and Vigo, Tarantino and Uma Thurman, Scorsese and Leo DiCaprio. So again, let me be clear. It's not that nepotism doesn't exist. You want to get to that point where you're working with your family and friends and working with people that you know, love, and trust. But it's not going to work out if you don't know, if you're not a professional. So that's why learning the professional craft, learning audition systems, having professional processes in your life so that people know you're a professional, so that they know, oh, I want to get my buddy Brandon on this set, but it's not just because he's my buddy, it's because he's a fucking great professional, and I know that he's going to be able to deliver the goods under pressure, under short notice, even if I have to give him sides half an hour before we're going to shoot, and we're like, this whole scene we just rewrote, here's a brand new scene for you to learn. I know that when the director yells action, he's going to deliver the goods. Myth 4 busted. We're busting some myths here. How are we doing, everybody? Let me know in the comments. Is this landing? Is this making sense? Is this helping you? Am I blowing any minds? Do we have any epiphanies? And if you're hearing this, some of you, anytime you're learning something, you're going to be putting it through the lens of, have I heard this before? Do I know this? Do I agree with this, or do I not? I just remind everyone, have an open mind, have a student mentality. So be open to receiving these things rather than putting everything through that lens of, do I know this or not? I've heard this before, I don't need to pay attention. You're here now. So give yourself the gift of intention and focus and being an open, receptive vessel. Someone says, landed like a 747 on a YYZ Toronto runway. Good. It's landing. Myth number 5. Myth number 5 is, a lot of people say this, especially when they're new, is I can't afford to invest in my career until I book more jobs. Again, cart before the horse. You don't get fire without giving the fire fuel. You can't go stare at a fireplace and be like, why isn't this fire warming me up? And it's like, oh, by the way, you haven't put any wood in there, or you didn't put any kindling or gasoline in it. It's stoke it with the fuel, which sometimes means your time, energy, and money in the form of classes and workshops, home studio upgrades, whatever it might be. You got to find a way to invest in things. You invest first. One of my mentors, James Wedmore, through his Business by Design program, one of my business coaches, he says the transaction or the transformation begins with the transaction. And what that means is the second you put skin in the game, meaning time, energy, and preferably money. Money is just energy. It's an energy exchange. When you pay for something, the more you pay for it, ideally, the more you're going to be invested into it. Money and affordability is also very subjective. For some people, $100 is a lot of money. For other people, $100 is the equivalent of a penny. But when you invest in something, you pay attention to it. And I always give you the example of the fitness trainer. You can go get all the free fitness training on YouTube that you want. And you probably even know in your head what you need to do. If you get up every morning and do 100 jumping jacks and 100 push-ups and 100 body squats, you don't need any equipment. You can be fit every day. And you can eat healthy fruits and vegetables. But the second you invest in a fitness trainer and some fitness equipment and a gym membership and a dietitian and a nutritionist, like professional athletes do. You think about LeBron James, he spends $1 million a year on his own personal fitness. He has his own trainer, his own nutritionist, his own sports psychologist, because he knows he is who he is. He's a champ. He's a professional. And so he invests in those things first. So just understand that to get to top level, you got to do and act and perform the way that professionals do. And professionals invest in themselves. They invest in acting classes. They invest in acting workshops. They invest in their own personal health. Our bodies as actors, our bodies are our tools. So if you're not doing vocal and physical warm-ups and workouts, you might be leaving something on the table. Maybe that means investing in haircuts or investing in makeup or investing in wardrobe, investing in home studios, investing in classes, investing in workshops. So you got to find a way, and you might be like, oh, well, I don't have money to do that. You will always find a way to pay for things that you feel are an absolute necessity. So an absolute necessity. So if you're feeling that you don't, that you can't, like, I absolutely can't pay for this, I have zero money, then you need to raise your level of necessity. You need to beg, borrow, or steal it. You need to ask your friends. I know that all of you on this call, if push came to shove and it was a gun to your head and you need to find a way to make something happen, you could, whether that means borrowing money, whether that means working harder on a side hustle job. Maybe that means being a little more disciplined and you're not spending as much money on beer and potato chips and pizza, so that you're saving some money so that you can save up for the workshop, for the class, for the home studio, for the new webcam, for the new laptop, all of those things. Adam Daniel Mazet says, you're either all in or you're all out. You can't be half in. Yeah, it's that old adage of being half pregnant. You're either in or you're out. So be all in and be the hero. That hero mindset that we talked on day one is about being all in. Think about all your favorite movies where the hero or heroine had to go up against this epic villain or this epic task. They weren't half-assing it. At some point, they had to make the decision, I'm going to do this or I'm going to die. They're in a do or die scenario. Now, hopefully none of you are going to die doing this, but be committed to it. And if you're thinking in your head, you want to be top level A-lister, you want to be leads in features and in series, there's a level of discipline, a level of commitment, a level of investment in your own career. Who says this? I would love to know who this is. Facebook user says, it's high time all of us take our balls out or our ovaries. Let's be equal, or our non-binary sex organs. Take our balls and or ovaries, have some testicular fortitude or some ovarian fortitude, or whatever it is you're working with here in today's day and age of non-binariness. It's time to place our spherical spheres of venom on the proverbial table. That's got to be Adam Daniel Mazet using all those big words. So those are myths busted. Was that all 5? That was all 5, I believe, right? We smashed them up. Let me know in the comments if there's any, if you have any questions about any of that, anything specific to any of those myths? And if not, going once, going twice, going thrice, we will move on to promise number 2 today. And promise number 2, we're going to talk briefly about how to get more auditions. And this is whether you have an agent or whether you don't. If you have an agent, great. You got someone in your corner working for you and submitting you for professional auditions. But if you don't have an agent, that's also okay. So we're going to just talk briefly about a few ways that you can figure out how to find auditions and find opportunities yourself. And again, if you're resourceful, when you really want something, you don't just sit back being like, oh, well, there's not someone who's going to send me an email with an audition, so I guess I can't make it in this life. You got to, as Tom Todoroff always says, decide what you want and then fight for it. Say no to the things you don't want, say yes to the things that you do want, and then fight every day to get yourself closer and closer to that. So it's about being resourceful. If you don't have all the resources, that's why you got to be resourceful, so that you find those resources. Don't let anything else, the lack of something, be the reason that you don't get something. Make that the reason that you go out and get it and find it. So we're going to talk about ways to find more auditions. Brandon, you want to call the first one up? How to find more auditions. Way number 1, if you don't know this already, casting websites. There's dozens of casting websites out there. The big ones, if you are a professional actor with a professional agent or manager, you'll know these. Actors Access. You can Google all these. Casting Workbook, Casting Networks. Mandy.com is a great one for non-union and for newer people in the industry. Backstage, Star Now. So even without an agent, all of those sites, they do list breakdowns. You may not, without an agent, have access to all of the ones that your agent would have access to, but you're going to have access to a lot of opportunities. So you can find those opportunities. And the thing that I want to say too is making sure that, like I do this regularly on Actors Access and on Casting Workbook. I go on them regularly to find out what is shooting, because you got to remember your agent also has maybe 50 or 100 other actors on their roster. So, and your agent works for you. They're only getting 15%. You're getting 85%, or maybe they're getting 10 or 20, depending on where you're at. But you're still in charge. You're the 80%, 85%, 90% of that. So you want to take charge of your own career. So I often go on Actors Access and I'll find things. I'll sometimes find things in other cities outside my market, or I'll see something and I'll give my agent a nudge and say, hey, this project is shooting. I feel like it'd be great for that. Have we submitted for this? And she'll come back and be like, yeah, I'm way ahead of you, Lars. I've already submitted for you that. I've already submitted you for that project. But be proactive. Also, that means staying up to date with your profiles too. If you're a professional actor, but you have old headshots on there and your sizes and your measurements aren't on there, and you don't have up-to-date demo reels and clips on there, give yourself and your agent all the things that they would possibly need, all the tools that they need to find you, and give productions what they need to find you. Like, make sure your profiles are fully filled out. Sometimes those algorithms, when production and casting are searching profiles, sometimes those algorithms favor actors who have headshots listed, who have demo reels listed, who have their sizes current and have all their info. So check all the boxes. Do you have special skills? Do you have special sports skills? Are you a boxer? Can you drive a race car? Are you a professional fencer, or whatever your skills are? Have all those things on there and make sure they're up to date, because if you don't, then you might be missing things. So take advantage and fully leverage all those platforms, even if you have an agent. Don't assume that your agent is doing it. It's a mistake. They have other people that they got to take care of. They're not only thinking of you. Unless you have an agent or a manager and you're the only person that they rep, then great. They're doing it full time for you and only you. But if not, and if you're unrepresented, I would start with Mandy.com, and you can start a profile on Actors Access, Casting Workbook, Casting Networks. Some of those have unpaid versions, and then they have paid versions. You might be lamenting right now, oh my God, I got to invest in these. It's like $100 usually for the year, maybe 150, $200. But again, if you want to be a professional, you might have to invest in some of these tools. And one gig in the entire year is gonna more than cover any of your investment for any of those. And if you're an unrepresented actor without an agent, but I would suggest before you get an agent, you're going to need those. They're going to, like, you have to be on casting workbook or Actors Access or casting networks. So if you do it now as an unrepresented actor, and then you get the opportunity to meet with an agent, they're going to ask you, do you have headshots? Do you have a demo reel? Are you on the sites? And if you can say yes, 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 check, 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 then they're going to look at you. Oh shit, this person's a professional. They understand the industry. They know how it works. Let's go. Instead of them saying, well, yeah, you seem great, but you got to go get headshots. You got to make these profiles. You got to get a demo reel, all these things. You're just you're not ready. And they're going to look at you like you're an amateur. So be ahead of the game. We have a question coming back from one of the myths. Brandon, do you want to throw the question up? Question: why would someone who is well-traveled with a deep filmography want to fly solo and not seek or have representation? You mentioned a common acquaintance of ours who doesn't have an agent now. Is there more of a situation or circumstances, temporary solodom, or is this an actual career strategy? Follow up: would you advocate not having an agent? Me personally, no. I believe more people is better. It might be a financial thing where he's doing so well he doesn't need it. It can be a personal preference. Maybe he just hasn't quite found the right person or the right rep. There's a good case to be made for finding the right fit, someone on your professional team. I would say it's a personal thing. I would strongly advocate to be getting an agent, but that's just me and where I'm in my career. He's also a producer as well too, so he writes and produces his own projects. So that's the one caveat to all of this is you want to get to the point. Hopefully, we're talking about auditions here at Audition Hero because that's how you need to get jobs early on. But eventually, you can reach the point where you are writing and creating your own content, and you can skip auditions completely. So you don't have to ever wait for a gatekeeper or someone to give you the thumbs up to give you a job. And I know he's in that category. So hopefully that answers the question there. It's a personal preference. And then there's another question here. Are all agents open to you doing their job for them? Will they not potentially consider an affront to their territory? My opinion of that is it's your career and it's your job. There's a lot of people feel like, oh, I don't want to step on my agent's toes. Obviously, you got to be professional and you don't want to be reaching out to people without their knowledge, but it should be a teamwork. I know in my case, I submit to things. Now, also, when I book those things, I direct them to my agent, and my agent's going to get 15% of that as well. So I'm actually not skirting my agent and applying for things so that I can avoid paying them the commission. I'm just doing more than my fair share because it's my career. And I'm not willing to just sit back and wait for an agent to submit me or not. So again, it's about having a proper team mentality with your agent. Hopefully you have a great working relationship with them and very open communication. But yeah, if you could do that the wrong way, like if you're undermining them in a way and you're approaching casting directors and sending casting directors DMs and not CCing your agent. Yeah, I mean, there's a fine line to all that. You got to be smart and you got to be professional. And if your agent has told you never, ever, ever contact anyone, and how dare you send an email to someone, but I would be hard pressed to feel that an agent would do that because ultimately it's going to be win-win-win if you're sharing that with them. Now, different story if you're finding your own opportunities outside your agent so that you can save your 15%. That's not what I'm suggesting. I'm suggesting find opportunities, find them, say, hey, to your agent, have we submitted for this? And if they haven't, submit for them. And if you submit on your own and then you book it, tell your agent, I just booked this new thing. And then your agent gets 15% for doing nothing. And the benefit to that is then they kind of owe you one. So they're like, holy shit, this person's a go-getter. They're taking control. I'm going to go out of my way to find opportunities for this person because I know they're doing the same every day for themselves. So I think to me, that's a dream client. If I was an agent, I would want to know that my client out there is finding opportunities and bringing projects to me rather than they only work when I find them in audition, if that makes sense. Great question. But yeah, again, all of this, it comes down to personal preference, comes down to your own working relationship with your own agent. But it also comes down to taking control of your own career and not feeling like, a lot of people feel like their agent is a holier than thou person, but you're actually hiring your agent to work with you. So it shouldn't be. Now, maybe they do have more experience in the industry than you do if you're brand new. So yeah, maybe you should be deferring to them a little bit in some scenarios. Here's another question. I don't want to spend too much time on agent stuff, Adam, but it's a good question. Totally agree with you. But if they say they have a strategy for you and where your career needs to go, and you strategizing for yourself might clash with the trajectory they've selected for you, I would suggest you need to have a come to Jesus conversation with them, because their strategy for you should not clash with your strategy for you. That strategy should be something that you've both developed and both agreed on moving forward. So if your agent is saying, I only want to put you out for theater gigs, but you only want to do TV and film, or vice versa, or your agent says, I want to submit you for commercial auditions, but you're adamant that you don't want to do commercials, it's your life. So again, you need to fight for what you want. You need to fight for your career. And if that headbutting works forever, you might find that that isn't the right fit long-term as an agency. Now, I'm not here to break people up, but I would suggest that would be a little bit of a red flag if I was dealing with an agent and they're like, no, this is how you're going to go, and this is what your life and career is going to be. And you're like, well, no, I actually want to go do this. And they're like, no, I know what's right for you. Like it sounds like a toxic relationship to me. You wouldn't do that in any relationship. If you were in a loving, healthy, personal relationship with a boyfriend, girlfriend, and you're like, I want to go do this thing, and they're like, no, that's not what I had in mind for you. You would not feel good about that, I would imagine. So again, it's about finding a team. If you've decided just to trust them, that's a different story. If you're deferring to them and you're like, I'm brand new and they've been in the business 30 years and I'm just going to trust that they have my best interest at heart, then that's okay. And then go that way. But if you know you want to go left and they're telling you you got to go right, then you're at a crossroads. And I would suggest you got to make the decision that's best for you. Okay, let's move on. Where were we? We were at how to get more auditions. Thank you for those. And throughout this, if any of you have questions or comments that are things that are off topic or other things that we're not going to delve in today, feel free to throw them in the chat. We can follow up. Throw them in the Facebook group, especially. You can always send us a DM on social media. We'll be happy to answer those. So don't think that like there's no question that is a bad question. We'll answer all of them. But we do also want to stay on topic for everyone today. So let's go back to how to find more auditions. All right. Casting director workshops. This is sometimes a touchy subject for some people, but a lot of casting directors will hold audition workshops and casting director workshops where you get to spend a few hours with them up to an entire weekend. Those are usually pay to play, where you pay $100 or $200 or $400 or $500. In my opinion, if you've done your research and you know the casting director and you know the projects that casting director works, in my opinion, because I'm big on investing in your career, I think it's a good idea. But you also gotta watch and make sure that this casting director is casting projects that you feel that you're a fit for. You also might want to double check that the casting director is actually going to be there as well. Because if the only reason you're taking that workshop is to develop a personal relationship with that casting director, so they get some FaceTime with them, you might be disappointed when you show up and they have a couple casting assistants running the workshop. Also, you need to realize that investing and attending one of those casting director workshop doesn't necessarily mean you're not paying for an opportunity to audition. So don't go into that thinking, oh, I'm going to go to this casting director's workshop and they are for sure going to offer me auditions and book me in their projects. That's wrong to think that. You're going there for the information and the insight and the expertise. And then hopefully they also get to see your work and see that you're professional, see that you're a good person. I've attended many. And for me, it's always paid off, where eventually I have, whether I would have got the opportunity or not is debatable, but I have attended them. And then I have subsequently got audition opportunities with those people because I believe I showed my professionalism. I did good work in the workshop. Often they'll give you sides to prepare in advance, and you do on-camera work. But it's also a great way to, every casting director has different preferences. There's no universal they. A lot of times actors are like, oh, what do they want? There is no they. There's different casting directors for every project. There's different creators and showrunners and producers and directors, and everyone, there's industry standards and some things that are across the board, but most things are up to individual preferences. There's some casting directors that will be like no props or no virtual backdrops, and there's others that are like, yeah, if it's a timely used, well used prop that didn't steal the focus, or if it was a background that made sense, then that's okay. So it's an individual preference. But casting director workshops, how to find those, Google them in your market. Many of them you'll find virtually as well these days. So you can look up casting directors. And I personally find it's a great investment. If you're going to spend $300 and you're going to learn a bunch in that day, and you're going to meet someone who potentially can provide opportunities for you if you make a good impression, I think that's personally worth it. But also you need to go in thinking it's going to be worth it whether you get an audition for them or not, so that you're not disappointed when you're like, oh, I paid to have a date with this workshop casting director and I didn't get an audition, so it was a waste of money. I don't think you should be thinking that way. So go in really with no strings attached to that, but big things can come from it. So I think it's worth it. Number 3, Adam Daniel Mazet says, I landed my agent after attending a casting director workshop. So I totally concur. Also, you go to those workshops, you're going to meet other actors. You're going to learn about projects that they're producing. You're going to get some expertise and some insights. So yeah, I think the more you're doing and the more you're investing. Also, there's the idea of like the more classes you take and the more investment you make in yourself, the more confidence you're going to have in yourself, because you're going to feel like a professional. You're meeting all these professionals and working with these professionals. So it's going to up-level your own confidence and your own competence, your own professionalism. All right, how to find more auditions. Number 3, social media. You guys are all on it right now. Wherever you are, whatever market you're in, you literally Google actor in your city, or acting in your city, or casting in your city, casting notices in your city. And I would suggest don't limit yourself to your city, because you're losing out on the fact that we're in a global village right now, and you can be a self-taping for things across oceans. So find on social media, find casting director pages, find casting director sites. There's often group actor sites in every city. Like it'll be like casting notices Toronto, New York City theater auditions. And I would just follow all those pages, so that rather than your news feed and Facebook and Instagram just being garbage from people that you don't really know or care about, what if it was just filled with audition notices and audition workshop notices and acting class notices, so that every time you go on Facebook, you're learning and growing and meeting and networking. Joao says, I went to a casting director workshops here in Portugal, applying for international actors' passports, where it's possible to meet international producers and directors of TV shows and films. Yeah, you have an opportunity. It's like, again, no better time. At one point, you would have had to be in that city. There was no internet. You would have had to physically mail them your headshots and or a demo reel, and you had to like hang out in the parking lot outside their office if you wanted to be a total crazy creeper. But now you can find people online. So going on to social media sites, and I'm going to give you a tip on those social media sites. This is the best hack that I can give you, and this actually applies to how to find auditions number 3 and number 4 that we're going to talk about. But on all those sites, when you see a casting notice that you are not the right fit for, so you're not going to submit for it, but you know other actors who are, tag them in it. I would suggest aim to be the person that is the casting director for all of your actor friends. And what's going to happen when you do that, again, pay it forward, and you want to give first before you receive. So give without expectation, but also know chances are, kind of the way giving and receiving works is, if you're a giving person, people like to give back to you. Don't give with the expectation of having to get back, but just know and trust that the more you give, the more you do get back. So what I would suggest you do, and I did this a lot, especially when I was non-union, is anytime I saw a casting notice for someone else, I would tag like the 3 people that I knew who were good for that. So say it was I'll think of one, it was a commercial audition looking for a professional magician. And I happen to know some professional magicians, magic makers who are actors as well. So I would tag them. And you can also apply this to crew, to makeup artists, to PAs, production assistants, even to casting assistants. When you see things, anything in the industry that's an opportunity, if it's not for you, suggest it for other people. And then the amazing thing is on a weekly basis, I get tagged in things in Facebook and DMs in DMs and Instagram where people are saying, "Hey, Lars, I saw this, thought of you." Often it'll be like looking for a stand-up comedian for this spot or looking for a host for this commercial. And people tag me in those. But the reason they're tagging me is because I tag them all the time. So pay it forward, give first and receive. That's a huge hack, if you want to call it a hack, is help other people find work. And magically, and what that ends up doing, you'll end up having an army of 100 people out there who every time they see something that fits you, you're going to get tagged in it. And it's really fun when you get tagged by multiple people. So you'll find a commercial casting director, for example, where they post on all the casting sites for your agent to find them and submit them for you. But they may also have a Facebook page where they also post those casting notices. And if you're the person who 5 people tag you, "Oh, Lars, you'd be great for that. Oh, Brandon would be great for that. Brandon would be great for that. Brandon Knox, Brandon Knox, Brandon Knox." Then it's like that casting director is going to see that and be like, "Holy shit, people seem to love this Brandon Knox guy." And then when you do submit, guess what? That name's going to be kind of familiar. And they're like, "Well, tons of people seem to suggest and think this guy was perfect for it. Let's have him in. Let's take a look at a self-tape." So that's a huge tip for everyone right there. Use that. Give to get. So moving on here, social media was number 3. And number 4 is related to what I just said, but just leveraging your personal connections. The further you go in this business, the great thing is there is a level of nepotism like any other business. So the more actors you know, the more directors you know, the more assistant directors you know, the more casting directors and casting assistants you know, the more producers you know, the more writers you know. And if you're brand new thinking, "I don't know any of those people," well, that's why you start somewhere. You start by taking workshops. You start with your own acting class. You start with this community here in Audition Hero and Actors Audition Club. And you ask for references and you continue to know people. And one of the best things as you progress is then you'll start showing up on set where you know the camera guy and you've met the hair and makeup lady before. And one of the assistant directors you have worked with before, or the director. Like there's a handful of directors that I've booked multiple commercials with. And I think it's because I did a good job and I was a good human being the first time that I was with him and deliver the goods on camera. And they're like, "Okay, he's easy to work with." So rather than the uncertainty of booking someone they don't know, they just rather book someone that they enjoyed working with before. So what this means is treat everyone with kindness, treat everyone with professionalism, even if you don't know who they are. And even if they're quote unquote lower on the totem pole. So when you walk into a casting site or you're dealing with someone even via email, maybe they are a production assistant, but guess what? Production assistants become assistant directors, become directors. Casting assistants become casting directors. Actors become writers, become directors, become producers, become showrunners. So the more you can be a professional, the better human being you can be. So meet everyone, actually learn their names, use people's names, be a nice person on set. Don't think that you can pull off being a diva because you are replaceable. Unless you're an A-lister and the only reason they're casting you is because in order for this production to get greenlit and for them to get funding, they need to have Johnny Depp's name attached to it. Chances are you're replaceable. I heard the quote that I've heard is for something as little as a one-liner, there's 500 to 1,000 submissions for that. So if you think you can be a one-line actor and show up on set and be an asshole and not treat people well, you're just going to be replaced, because they had 10 people come to the callback and every one of them would rather be in your shoes than at home not shooting it. So just trust that when you're a nice person, when you're a good person, meet people, learn their names, follow up with them, thank you notes to casting directors, to producers, to directors. That goes a long, long way, and you'll end up being cast more. So as far as how to leverage your personal connections, follow up with people, send them DMs. When you see their victories, congratulate them for their victories. Maybe you weren't a part of that production, but you see a director that you've worked with on a new show. Don't send them a DM saying, hey, can I get a role on your show? Send them a DM saying, hey, congratulations. Saw you're directing that. Saw you were nominated for an Emmy for that. That's amazing. So happy for you. Glad you're doing well. Send people DMs and emails and thank yous, and then also stay up to date with your own things. So without being braggadocious about it, is pay attention to your own social media. Are you going out to industry events? Are you on set? Do you have some and also without breaking NDAs and social media contracts with production. Sometimes you can't be on a production taking pictures and sharing things, or sharing that you just booked a role. So you got to be really sensitive to that. But if and when you're able to, share that. If you're on a red carpet for the premiere of a show, snap some pictures so that they're like, oh, good, that person's doing something. There's something to say for showing people that you are working the industry and that you're staying consistent. Adam Daniel Mazet, Joao Pino says, amazing. Thanks for the hints, Lars. So grateful. Adam Daniel Mazet says, what do you consider to be an asshole? One person's asshole is another person's edgy actor with a creative backbone. I'd say it's personal choice. And then you just got to live by your choices. I'm certainly one, like I've seen people do audacious things that paid off. And I know people who have done audacious things that maybe hurt them. And I would say also just trust that no one relationship, like there's no president of Hollywood where you piss off one person and then you're blacklisted forever, even in today's cancel culture. And we see that there's people working in the industry that have done shitty, asshole-ish, terrible things, and they're a known entity as an asshole, and they're still working. So I would say act out of love and not fear, whatever that means to you. So if you feel it's well-intentioned and well-meaning, and you're acting out of love of the game and love of the industry, and you're making a bold move, then go for that. If you're fearful about it, then yeah, just be careful is what I'm saying, but not overly careful. This is a business where you can take big swings and it does pay off, but you can also take big swings and look like an idiot. So yeah, I mean, this is not a class on how to be a good person and be a good human being. So I just got to trust that you have good social etiquette, and you're a person who has you're not totally oblivious to what being a good person versus what being an asshole is. That makes sense? So yeah, just to finish up on personal connections, build your network, build your connections, stay in touch with people, follow up with people, thank you notes, congratulate people. Yeah, I think that'll go a long, long way to keeping you active in this industry. And that's not just the power players. That's everyone from the production assistants, the person taking your name when you check in, even the medics or the prop people or the grips, or just be a cool person. And then, because you never know who you're talking to, because you might not think that you're talking to someone who has any pull on your career, but then that person goes and talks to a director and they're like, oh, that guy, he's a fucking dick. He was an asshole to me. I tried to bring him a muffin and he threw it in my face. Don't throw muffins in people's faces. That's the bottom line. If you take one thing away, don't throw muffins at people. Okay. Private chat. Let me check the private chat. All right. All right. What do I want to do here? Let's move on to our final thing. There's something that we missed that we're going to come back to, Brandon, but we'll come back to it at the end. So next up after, let me know if this is landing with you guys. We've talked about the 5 actor myths. We've talked about 4 ways to get more auditions. Now I want to talk about your audition checklist and developing your own audition checklists. That's the promise of day 2 today. We'll drop this document in the chat. There's one of our, we're getting a lot of porn bot bombs here coming at us. Yeah, somebody wants to shout out Brandon here. Can we please get a shout out for the BK Broiler manning the 1s and 2s today? Yeah, of course. Did you miss that shout out earlier? Maybe you missed it, Adam Daniel Mazzei, if that is you. Okay, so the final thing that we're going to talk about today, or final meat and potatoes of the training, is developing your own audition checklist and system. Again, to be a professional, you need to have a system and a process. If you're a person who's artsy fartsy and you're just winging it every time, if every time you get an audition, you're doing something different, you're leaving a lot on the table, and chances are you could be improving your auditions. So we're going to talk about this because having an audition checklist, even if it's not a physical checklist, ideally it's physical because that'll force you to go through it. But worst case, if eventually you know it so well in your head. But again, a pilot still uses a physical checklist. A surgeon still uses a physical checklist. They're not doing it mentally. They're actually going through a checklist. Co-pilot saying, check this. Pilot saying, checked it. They're actually doing it every time. So we've put together a sample one. This is not the be all and end all, but I would suggest you guys take this as your jumping off point and then customize it. Everyone you have your own idiosyncrasies, you have your own preferences, you have your own idea of what works for you and things that you need. Our mentor, Tom, always says, know your own nervous system. So you need to know yourself. You need to have self-awareness. If you're someone who's super stressful and super anxious and you really want to take advantage of every opportunity that you have, then I would suggest be more diligent. Maybe you're adding more steps to this checklist than we have. But know yourself and have some self-awareness and figure out what works for you. So can we call that checklist up, Brandon? Okay. Can we make it a little bigger? Does it go bigger? Yes, no, maybe so. As big as it goes. Okay, no problem. So the following checklist is an example of what to do once you receive an audition request. We encourage you to customize your own. We'll see if we can drop the document in the chat. But again, to reiterate, following a repeatable process will ensure that you're fully prepared and professional. It's going to reduce your audition stress and anxiety. When you follow a plan and follow a checklist, you can relax because you just know you're doing everything. You're not missing anything. And that's going to ensure that you make the most out of every opportunity that comes your way. This day and age, like commercials can be 5-6 figures, lead in a series, lead in a feature, 5 figures, 6 figures, 7 figures. There's massive opportunities, and you're only one opportunity away from your life changing. Okay, we're going to drop the document in the Audition Hero. Ooh, good call. In the Audition Hero group later, which means in order to get access to this, you're going to have to register by going to laughingvikings.com/Audition Hero, which will register you formally, and that'll give you access to the Facebook private community group, which this document will be in. So let's scroll up here. We've broken up our audition checklist to pre-audition, audition, and post-audition. So we'll go through this real quick. If you have questions throughout, you can drop them in the chat and we'll answer them later. But immediately, literally the first thing I do, and this takes so much stress and anxiety out of it. What I used to do when I got an audition from my agent would be like, oh my God, when am I going to shoot this? Where am I going to shoot this? Who am I going to get to read it? Where's my home setup? Am I going to set up lights at home? Am I going to go to a studio? Am I going to go to someone else's house? When and where am I going to do this? So right away, did you schedule your audition session? Pick a date, pick a time, and who your reader is. There's self-tape studios out there, Actors Audition Club being one of them. You have friends who are actors. Maybe you have a family member. I would strongly suggest you do not use a family member because they are not a television and film professional. I would suggest working only with people who are in the industry if you want to maximize your auditions. You never know what you're going to be leaving on the table if you're working with your Uncle Jim or your spouse. It just doesn't make sense. A doctor wouldn't ask someone who's not a doctor, how do I do this surgery? And every television and film production that you've ever watched on TV that you know and love, They used the professional crew and they used professional actors. They didn't use some random person to run the camera for you. And the editor wasn't just some random guy who watched one YouTube video on how to edit. So right away, though, so let's say you get an audition Thursday afternoon, or let's use today. It's Tuesday. You get one today, and the deadline is Friday. I personally would book my recording on Thursday, sometime Thursday afternoon. I never leave it till the end, and you don't want to wait. But what happens is you set that date, your commitment level and your confidence level is going to go up because you're committed. You're like, okay, now by Thursday at 5, I have to have done all my prep, because Thursday at 5 is when I'm recording my audition with Brandon at Laughing Vikings Actors Audition Club at 5 o'clock, and he's my guy. So now I know when it's going to happen. It forces me to do the work so that I'm ready by that point. If you don't commit right away, you can procrastinate. You keep putting it off, putting it off, putting it off. Next thing you know, it's Friday at noon and you only got an hour left, and you're being that actor who's scrambling it in, and you're trying to get it in with 5 minutes to go, and you're freaking out and sending your agent nasty messages because of your own fault, because you didn't get it in time. And just know that you're going to be seen in a better light by getting things in early rather than late. So only in absolute necessary situations should you ever just be making the deadline or being late. Production is really potentially looking at auditions as they're receiving them. And it just makes you look like more professional. The faster you can get it in, the better. So did you schedule your audition session, date, time, and a reader? Did you schedule your rehearsal block time? So if I get one tonight, I'm going to book it. It's due Friday at noon. I book it Thursday at 5. Then in my schedule, I'm going to say I'm going to rehearse tomorrow from 12 till 3, and on Thursday from 3 to 5, the 2 hours before my session. So right away, I know when I'm going to record it, and I know I'm going to rehearse it. What doesn't get scheduled doesn't get done. What's not in your schedule is easy to not get done. So get it in the schedule and actually write it down. Then you know you can rest. Oh, I'm a fucking professional. I got the day booked when I'm going to record it, and I got all my rehearsal periods booked. So I know I'm going to put in the time and effort and energy required to submit a professional audition. Did you research the production? Next thing I knew, so I got it booked. I got my rehearsal time. I'm going to look up who the writer is, who the creator is, who the producers are, who the directors are, also who the casting director is. So I know, if I know them, I know what they cast and what they look for. Maybe I already know them and know their preferences. Research that. They have other work. You want to know what they're working on, what these people have done. You want to know who you're dealing with. Also what type of vibe and what type of tone. So the next thing is, did you watch an episode or some of their previous work? If it's a show that you've never heard of or never been on before and you've never seen it, you got to watch it. You can't just look at a script and then deliver a performance, because you might deliver a performance that is way out of line. I'll give you a great example. C is a world where everyone, except for a couple of people, cannot see. So if you submitted an audition for C and you are a sighted person reacting with your eyes to everything you see, you're instantly going to be recognized as a person who has no clue what they're auditioning for. If it's here in Canada, there's a show called Murdoch Mysteries. It takes place in the early 1900s. So if there's not a little old timiness, like if you audition wearing like modern sunglasses and a modern shiny futuristic looking wardrobe, you're going to look out of place. So you want to watch the episodes so that you understand the tone of the episode, you understand the world, the vibe. Are people really big, or is everyone very small and muted? Not saying that you have to adhere to all that. I can hear Tom Todoroff saying just because everyone else is small doesn't need to mean that you need to be small. But you need to understand the world that you are auditioning for, and you understand the tone. So don't ignore that. Watch a handful of episodes. Also, you might get asked that at some point, and you don't want to be lying. Jason Momoa actually asked me, "Have you seen some of the episodes?" And I fortunately was able to say, "Yeah, I think it's great. It was amazing. I watched all of season 1. It was great. It's kick ass. Love it. Love the show." And the more you watch, the more you're going to understand it, and the more you're going to be comfortable. You're also going to know, maybe you have scenes with the leads, and you know this character. You know how they act and respond, so you might get a better sense of the scene that you're dealing with. Did you write out the script? Here's what we like to do, and this is what we've been taught, is our advice to you. And again, you don't need to follow all this advice. If you have your own system, so be it. We like to write out the script, either handheld or like a handwriting, or retype it. But what I do is we remove all the punctuation, and we remove non-critical stage directions. A lot of actors like to play the punctuation, meaning if there's a comma, they pause. If there's a period, they pause more. If there's a ... they pause even more. And then the non-critical stage directions are like, he sighed, or he raised his eyebrow, or he sat down, or he looked out the window, or he grimaced, or all those things. I don't think you need to adhere those things. You might need to adhere to certain ones if in your next line it's like, hey, what are you doing with that gun? The other character says, hey, what are you doing with that gun? You might need to raise a gun into frame at that point. So there's some things that don't work without the stage directions, but we often cut little things like sitting and standing and sitting and standing. Often they're not necessary. And what that's going to do is, if production and casting is watching actors all day long and everyone is playing punctuation, everyone is raising an eyebrow when it says to raise an eyebrow, everyone is pausing at a comma and pausing more at a period, it becomes very predictable. It becomes very boring. Our acting coach, Tom, always says, act at the speed of life. And people don't talk with punctuation. Things are written with punctuation so that when you read it, it makes sense and it's not just one blurb. But I'm not talking in commas and colons and semicolons and periods right now. I'm just talking off the top of my head and sending my message to you, trying to affect you somehow. So you guys can do the same. So just that's a little tip on how you can potentially stand out a little bit, or how you can personalize it by just taking what's important. What's important? The words that you're saying, the words the other characters are saying, and critical stage directions. And the final thing pre-audition is rehearse. And that old thing is, don't do it until you get it right. Do it until you can't get it wrong. So what does that mean for you? That means 50 times, 100 times, 250 times, 500 times, however many times you need to do it, and do it different. Don't get stuck in the same rhythm where you always pause on this note and you always look this way on this beat. Do it different every time. Do it while you're doing the dishes. Do it while you're going for a run. Do it while you're playing basketball. Sing it. Do it with an accent. Do it really fast. Do it really slow. The main thing, though, is every time you do it, mean it. So never just throw it away. Always have meaning and intention and belief and truth behind it, so that every time it's sinking into you. And banish the word memorize. Your job as an actor is not to memorize lines. Professional actors, they're not professional because they're the best memorizers. They understood what was happening in the scene. They understood what they were fighting for. They understood their relationship with the other character. They understood what they wanted in that scene. And they were good storytellers, and they told the best story by understanding their craft. So banish the word. It's not about memorizing. The problem with memorizing is you memorize. You get stuck in a certain way of doing it. You're not going to be directable. If a casting director says, okay, that was great, can we try it this way? But you've done it only one way the entire time, it'll be very, very clear to them that you're not a professional. You'll look like an amateur who has just memorized lines. And maybe that's how you learned when you were a kid in public school, when it was like, memorize these lines for the school play. But at a professional level, it's more about understanding the scenes, what you're fighting for, what you want, what your objective is. And I would suggest invest in one of these. Thanks again, Tom Todoroff, for this suggestion. This is one of those little clickers that bouncers have outside, or ushers have. And you can keep track. If it's like, I got to do this 100 times, go for a walk with yourself and run the lines. Even if it's a one-liner, say it 100 different ways, 150 times. And in that, rehearsal is your sandbox time. It's your play time. It's your discovery time. And if you just decide early on, if you look at a script and be like, yeah, this is what this is, and you paint it with one brush and you paint it one color, and then you just do that 100 times, you're going to miss all kinds of script exploration, and you're going to miss potentially better, stronger choices. So really play, do it 100 different ways so that if the director said do it this way, do it that way, that's no problem. You've done it a million times. Again, it's not just about learning it one way. So if we can scroll forward, is this making sense to everyone? Audition checklist. You might be realizing that this is more work than you thought. If you're new in the business, or maybe if you're old in the business, you might be being like, shit, I've been just memorizing lines and then showing up on the day. I've been winging it. But again, be a professional. On the audition day, did you do a physical and or vocal warm-up? Acting is your body and it's your voice. Your breath is your connection to your breath, and your voice is your connection to your emotions. You want to be relaxed. Tom always would say to us, tension draws attention as well. So if you're all tense and you're not relaxed, then it's going to be noticeable in you. You're going to be doing funny things that aren't the mark of a relaxed professional actor. So doing a professional physical and vocal warm-up before you perform. There's no actor that's going on stage on Broadway that hasn't done a full vocal warm-up and done a full physical body warm-up. And if you don't know what that means, that's why you need to take classes. You could probably find a video that shows you a full actor vocal warm-up. Maybe we can provide some resources for you, but strongly suggest taking classes to do that. Did you choose your wardrobe? Be specific. So if it is a period piece, that doesn't mean you have to show up in full-blown old-timey clothing, or if you're a knight in Arthur's Round Table, you don't have to show up in a full suit of armor, but you want to have wardrobe that hints to your character. Certainly if you're a CEO or a real estate agent, don't show up in board shorts and a wife beater. Show up in a crisp looking suit so that you look like the guy. You want to look like the person, or at least be hinting towards the person. Again, maybe you don't need to show up in full scrubs if you're a doctor, but you want to look like you could be a doctor. Don't expect production and casting to have such an imagination that you can show up shaggy haired, unshaven for the billionaire CEO role. It's like, you got to look like a billionaire CEO. So be specific with your wardrobe and understand you don't want your wardrobe to outshine you, but remember that your wardrobe, as Tom Todoroff always taught us, your wardrobe and your background and your lighting and your setup speaks before you do. So if they see right away, it's not going to make sense. If they're like, who's this guy in board shorts and a wife beater and he's auditioning for professional CEO guy? Like, this doesn't make sense. Are you hair and makeup camera ready? So are you camera ready? Show up ready for that. Is your hair the way it needs to be for the character? Is there some makeup involved? Usually that's a female thing, although this day and age, lines are all blurred. So whatever that means to you, are you ready to rock? Don't expect that don't look like you're going to roll it like you just rolled out of bed, bags under your eyes and shaggy haircut, unless that's the character description. Look camera ready. Be as close to on the day ready. And they're just going to see you, and they're going to see your tape and be like, this is the guy. We could use his audition as the footage for the show. It was that on point. Did you set your mindset and intentions? Again, I go back to sports performance and sports psychology. Do you have a visualization routine, meditation, affirmations? It's game day. We have actors show up here. We know they've done their prep, and they come in with that eye of the tiger and the fire in their eyes, and we know they're not fucking around. They're here to book it. They're here to get it. They're here to be an audition professional, and they show up like that. So that's something that you can help yourself on. You be more relaxed. Every high performer, whether it's every top performer, whether it's sports or performance arts, has some pregame routine. So develop your own. Visualizing it like you think of like an Olympic skier in their head before they go, or an Olympic gymnast. They're seeing that whole routine, every move, every turn, every jump, every flip. They know exactly what they're going to do, beat by beat by beat by beat. So you can help yourself out by doing that. That's been proven over and over and over again. Someone who visualizes and meditates and has positive affirmations, they're going to perform better because you've already taught your brain and the neural pathways what to do on the day. Next, do you have a professional studio setup? So if you're doing it at home or if you're doing it in a studio, great. You're probably not going to have to worry about it. If you're doing it at home in your home studio, do you have professional lighting? Meaning, do they see you, or are you in shadows, or are you blowing out because they can't see you at all because there's lights behind you or the light's too bright on you? Do you have a professional looking camera? In TV and film, it's always landscape. It's never portrait, Instagram, selfie style. It's always landscape. Unless they specifically asked, maybe they're shooting something that's like a TikTok gag, so they want it to look like a TikTok video. Then maybe that would be the one exception. Do you have a non-distracting background, either a neutral background, if you're using a virtual background, something that looks the part but doesn't take away from you and isn't distracting? Do you have proper framing? So have you been asked to shoot in a wide frame? Maybe if it's a video game, motion capture, often they'll want to see your entire body or knees up, 3/4. Or do they want it in a medium or a medium close? Pay attention to those instructions. Missing those instructions, if it says it in the casting notice, we want you to shoot in a medium close-up, head and shoulders only. And then you're shooting in a wide. They want to see what you're going to look like in your hero close-up shot. Tom always says close-ups make careers. So make sure that framing is properly. Again, if you're doing it with a proper studio, a professional studio, often like we know that stuff, so we take care of that for you. If you're doing it at home, make sure you're doing that properly. Do you have your different eye lines mapped out? So if a main character, I'm looking directly down the barrel at you right now, which 9 times out of 10 you're not doing in a professional audition. So if I'm having an intense conversation with the main character, I might be here or I might be here. And then if something happens out here, that's the side thing. I might be talking, okay, I'm having a meeting. Yeah, what do you want? I'll be there in a second. That kind of thing. Or where's the window? Or you see a dead body on the ground. The dead body on the ground's not on the ground right here. Or if you're looking at documents in front of you on your desk, I'm not going to look down here so you're seeing the top of my head. I'm going to cheat it a little bit and find an eye line. So, okay, there's the desk. There's the dead body on the ground. So you want to map all this stuff out. You can do this via Zoom. If you're taping via Zoom, it's very simple. And know where your eye lines are. That's going to bring the scene to life. That's going to show the casting directors you know what the scene is all about. And if you're talking to everyone in the same spot, it's not really going to make sense what you're doing or who you're talking to. Let me check here. Yeah. All right. Where were we here? So eye lines, are you seated or standing? Make that decision. Is it going to be best for you to sit? I'm big on making the choice one way or the other. I'm not big on sitting and standing and sitting and standing. You can also fake sitting and standing. If I'm standing here for this audition, I can fake it if I wanted to. You just want to remove a lot of that blocking. Don't overcomplicate it by thinking like, oh, I got to sit, I got to stand. Just make a choice. For most people, often standing is a better energy, and they like to be mobile and grounded and standing. Other people, if it's a courtroom scene or a police interrogation scene, you might want to sit for that. So whatever the best choice is. Focus on your strong beginnings and endings. So your moment before, your button at the very end, people remember the beginnings and the endings. Tom, again, our acting coach often says first impressions and last looks. There's something called the primacy effect and the recency effect. Doesn't matter who you are, every human being, they remember the opening moment and they remember the end, and the middle's kind of the middle. So make sure you nail the opening beat, make sure you nail the end beat. Obviously, ideally, you nail every moment, but I wouldn't submit a tape where I didn't nail the first line in the first beat, or I didn't nail the last line in the last beat. Because the last impression or the first impression is going to be that you were just meh, so. Have you recorded a strong take of each scene? So if it's a 3-scene thing, I would go scene by scene by scene. So I do a bunch of takes of scene 1, till I got the 1, then move on to scene 2, then move on to scene 3. Have you recorded a confident slate? Again, follow the instructions. What do they need to know? Don't miss instructions in a slate. It's an easy reason for them to dismiss your audition if you didn't include a slate or if you didn't do it properly. Not saying that they would do that, but some might. If they're getting thousands of auditions, one of their criteria might be, well, if he doesn't know how to follow slate instructions, he's not going to follow instructions on the day. Maybe he's not even going to show up at the right time on the day. So you want to give them all the confidence in the world to know that this is a professional. When we ask him to do something, he follows instructions like a professional. And then, are the files edited properly? Do they want one file? Do they want separate files? Do they want fades in between? Do they want a front slate or a tail slate? Are the files edited, or are the files named properly? Your name, the role name, the project. Again, they often are very, very clear with these instructions. So follow instruction. Show them right away that you're a professional rather than the guy that kind of doesn't really pay attention and half-asses it. You might think, do they really care? Maybe they don't, but maybe they do. And if they do and you miss it, you might have just missed out on a massive opportunity. And then the final thing here, are your files uploaded and emailed to the proper destination before the deadline? So get those uploaded, emailed to you, your agent, get them up on the casting site. If you're using a studio, like for us, within 15 minutes of a session, we've emailed them to the agent and or casting. So our actors might follow up with their agent, just be like, you received that? Yeah, you received it. Great. Okay. Just so you know, you're going to be heads up. You're going to be getting the file from Laughing Vikings Audition Club. Should be coming your way any minute. So you want to follow up with them, and then post audition. So great. Congratulations. You just submitted your winning audition. Did you confirm? So actually the one that I just mentioned was post audition. Did you confirm that they received it? Is it there? Has it been uploaded? You double check with your agent, double check with your casting, or maybe you go on the casting site and you see it there. Yep, it's been uploaded. Check, they got it. And then this is huge. And if you miss this, you're leaving money on the table. Did you journal and or reflect on your performance? So you can go through this now that you've recorded it. You know how you felt about it. You know about how you feel about the final product. What did you do well in that audition? What could you improve next time? Did you miss steps? Was there something lacking in your preparation? Could you have done better with your wardrobe? Could you have prepped a little better and learned the scene a little better? All those little things you want to be constantly improving. And if you're not having that debrief moment of journaling and or reflecting, then you're not improving for next time. And you may be just making the same mistakes over and over and over again. And then the final thing, this is the best. Celebrate. You did it. Congratulations. Auditions is an opportunity to create something. It's an opportunity for you to perform and play. So you should be proud of those auditions. And something that we like to do is go celebrate. Take yourself out for a drink. Go take yourself shopping. Buy something. Go buy yourself a book. Buy yourself some ice cream. Go visit some friends. Just the idea of dangling a carrot so that you don't just get used to only celebrating wins when you book a role. You want to celebrate every audition, because there's a million reasons why you might not book a role, but that doesn't mean that you didn't do an amazing job on the audition. And it doesn't mean that something positive can't come from the audition. Maybe you didn't book that role, but casting and production loved you. So they're like, oh yeah, we're definitely going to see this person the next time we're casting for something. Or they weren't right for that, but we want to find a spot for them in something else. So there's a million things. You should just celebrate it. Even the fact that you got an audition and you had a chance to submit, there's thousands and thousands of people that would be dying to get an audition. So you need to celebrate that. So that is an example of an audition checklist there. If you have comments, concerns, things that you think you should add on there, I'm going to say Brandon says pizza. Brandon likes to celebrate with pizza. His carrot is a carrot pizza. Yeah. Okay. So that makes sense. We will drop that document in the Facebook group. So make sure that you're registered. And what I encourage you guys to do is not just take that one, but customize it. There might be things in there that I didn't include that you want to include on the day. Find your own rituals, your game day rituals. Maybe you've got some superstitions and some things that you do, or some extra things. Maybe you see mine and you're like, Lars, that's not professional. I got to do 10 times that. So develop your own. Now, what I want to cover now to wrap up, let us know in the comments how you're feeling about all that. Let us know what you've learned. Do you have any epiphany moments? Let me know what a favorite thing that you have learned today. And I want to give you your marching orders, your call to action. Hopefully you've gained some new insights here and realized that you have some work to do and that you can up-level your audition process. So here's your call to action. This is your mission, should you choose to accept it, and I know you all will because you're all audition heroes and you're all professionals, is to create your own personal audition checklist. And then what we want you to do is share a post in Facebook in the group by midnight tonight, Eastern time, for a chance to win a free audition session with Actors Audition Club. And by the way, we have some to give out. I'm going to announce it right now, actually. We had some people post after day one. You also had a task, and day one was to talk about your dream role and what you need to do to step into your dream role. And let me find the person here. Where were they? They had the Facebook group name Point Guard. We're going to give a free audition session to Point Guard. You got to reach out for us to that. But what we'll do is we'll connect with you via Zoom or in studio, and we'll help you with your next audition on the house. And there was one more that I wanted to give out here. If I'm not seeing it now, I'll post it in the group. Michael Ferrer. We're going to give one to you too. Michael Ferrer, congratulations, you won. So we're going to give two. I said we're going to give one to Point Guard, who says his dream role is to play a villain. And Michael Ferrer said he wanted to play one of the main roles, protagonist or antagonist in a major motion Hollywood picture. We're going to give you both freebies. So again, your mission tonight, develop your own audition checklist. Don't just copy and paste mine. Develop your own. And then you can post a video in the group about your own audition checklist. You don't necessarily have to go through all the steps. You can tell us, I'm going to use the framework that you use, plus I'm going to add this, this, and this. Or you could do a text post and show me yours. We got someone here commenting, key takeaway, researching the show, director, tone, feel of the show before going in for the audition. That is huge. That is huge. You'll just look like you have no idea what you're auditioning for if you don't do that, depending on the nature of it. You might get lucky and you'll just hit the tone or the feel of the show. But if it's something very specific and you don't know it and you didn't do your research, you will just look like you have no clue what you're auditioning for, and you'll look silly. Now, day 3, I want to foreshadow day 3 a little bit. Brandon, if you want to pop that up. Day 3, I want to thank all of you for being here today. You are now 2/3 of the way through Audition Hero Workshop Series. Day 3 is going to be this Thursday, July 28th at 2 p.m. You may be watching the replays to this. If you're watching the replays, great. You have access to those on the directory page. But on Thursday, we're going to talk about your big picture transformation, going from where you are now in your career into that audition hero mindset and becoming your own hero in your own life and hero in your own career. We're going to talk about some next steps that you can be taking, and we're going to talk a little more in detail about Actors Audition Club. And speaking of Actors Audition Club, I wanted to introduce you to a few of our favorites. We were going to do this at the beginning of the session, but I'll show you right now. Brandon, if you want to bring them up. So make sure to save the date for Audition Hero Day 3 this Thursday at 2 p.m. Eastern, or check out the replay. So these are a few more of our audition heroes, people that we work regularly with at our Actors Audition Club. In day 1, I introduced you to a few, but here's a few more. First of all, on the left, that is Chris Robinson, who he says, Actors Audition Club always takes me to another level. Since the pandemic, whenever I get auditions, I just have way more time to put more effort into it. Chris is a fantastic actor. He's also a stand-up comedian. He's got tons of credits. He's been on The Boys. He's been on Working Moms and Odd Squad. And he's the lead in a new show on Crave called Pillow Talk. Last year, they shot season 1. We were just giving him a shout out not too long ago on the podcast because they greenlit season 2. So if he's not shooting season 2 already, he will be shooting that soon. So shout out to Chris Robinson. We love working with Chris. Adam Daniel Mazet, you've heard and seen some of his comments today. Adam Daniel Mazet was actually the winner last year of wasn't last year. It was January, February of this year, but he was the winner of our inaugural Audition Hero contest. Adam says, I love the camaraderie and the coaching. They always know the right thing to say and couch it in the right language. They give it a framework, terminology, so that it can anchor itself in your brain. They really make you feel like you're doing your best work. They really want to see the success of all your actors. Adam Daniel Mazet is in a handful of shows, one of the hardest working guys in the business. He's in a feature coming out called, I believe it's The Ace and the Scout. Am I getting that right? The Ace and the Scout, an old World War II period piece. So we're excited to see him in that. And one thing I'll say about Adam is Adam books, we work with his auditions, but he also just books rehearsal sessions. He's one who wants to stay sharp and keep his instrument sharp. So he's always booking sessions with us where he's just working on a scene for his class, or he's working on a monologue, or he wants to spend an hour just working on some improv. So shout out to Adam for being very, very serious about his craft. And it's really night and day to see him when we first met him a year or two ago to see where he is today. So congratulations to all your hard work there, Adam. And on the far right side, this is one of our other favorites, Shaquille James Hostin, professional actor. He's also a professional wrestler as well. So do not piss him off. He will drop kick the shit out of you. He says they want you to bring your best effort each and every time. It's a great atmosphere. Energy is everything, and your thoughts are things. I love that. So when you are with good energies and enthralled people, you know you're going to do a great job. Thank you to everyone at Laughing Vikings. Shaquille James Hostins, he's worked most recently. He booked a role. It just aired not too long ago in The Boys. He's been on 12 Monkeys, on Murdoch Mysteries, and Beauty and the Beast. And again, Shaquille, he was the second runner-up in our Audition Hero contest back in February. And he's one of those guys, always shows up with Eye of the Tiger. He's ready to go. He's ready to play. You know that he's always prepped. He has a plan of attack and a game plan. We love working with him. And those three are booking and continuing to work towards their dream roles and having the career of their dreams. So congratulations to those three. And we'll introduce you to some more of those people on day 3 through Actors Audition Club. Final thoughts. Again, thank you and congratulations for taking the time to be here today. The fact that you're here means you're willing to work and willing to grow and willing to improve. So kudos to you for taking the time and being a professional. Make sure to go back and watch day 1 if you haven't. Rewatch day 2. Go into the Facebook group. Make a post with your audition checklist, either a video or a text post, and we will reward at least one of you with a free audition session. And again, the reminder here is there's no better time to be an actor. There's more productions, there's more money, there's more opportunities. You live in an international, global film and television community, and you're only ever one audition away from changing your life. So you want to make sure that you're seizing every one of those opportunities, which means you need to up level and grow and change and be a professional. So again, thank you for being here today. We'll see you on Thursday, July 28th at 2 p.m. If you're watching the replays, congrats. You just finished episode number 2 here in our workshop series. And you can go ahead after posting your homework in the group. You can go ahead to day 3, and we'll see you on day 3 for the big picture transformation. We'll talk about next steps, and we'll introduce you to even more people and the success that they're having in Actors Audition Club. All right, you guys are the best. Thank you so much for being a part of it. Make sure if you haven't officially registered, go to laughingvikings.com/audition hero, and we'll see you soon. All right. Goodbye, 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 goodbye.